नमस्कार सर.
Namaskar. So this is our fifth session. We had completed till the per work last in our last session. Today we are left with only two more work, and we have eight more letters that are left from the consonants. And if we have enough time left, we will also do the Sanyukta Akshar that we also call as conjuncts today. So let us begin with the next work, that is year. These are the Devanagari equivalents on the left hand side. So for here we will draw the Shirorekha first. From the left hand side of the Shirorekha, we draw the slant line straight, as in slant line at an angle. Then this curve goes all the way up, touches the Shirorekha and comes back. So this is here in Sharada lipi. Excuse me. I'll draw it again. This is here. I'll also draw the three lines, try to fit it in the three lines. I made the letter a little big, so that's why this entire portion has stretched a little bit. But this entire letter should fit within the three lines. This loop that you see, the middle loop, this is a little bigger than the slant that we start from. The slant is a little shorter and the loop has to be a little bigger. I'll draw it with a normal round brush as well. This is here. So only thing to note here is this slant. Unlike what we have in Devanagari, we have this slant here in the beginning and then this curve that we draw and it touches the Shirorekha and then this vertical stroke here. So this is year. The only difference is the beginning of the year. Rest or the other part of the year is almost similar to what we have in Devanagari also. The next one is R. Now for R, we will draw this Shirorekha again. From the middle, we draw this vertical stroke here. And towards the end, there is this triangle. So now this letter, we have already done a similar kind of letter in vowels also when we were doing the swar. So in E, The shape is almost similar. It only has the dots on two bindus on the top of the Shirorekha. And here we have Ra without the two dots, so this becomes Ra.
But sorry, was the in the E?
Yes.
It was not a right angle triangle. It was more of a triangle, right?
Yes, so here you compulsorily have to draw this right angle triangle. In
Right.
E,
Thank you.
I was when I was drawing the E, I had mentioned that you can either draw it this way, right, this triangle, or this is
Right.
also somewhere, this is also acceptable. But in case of Ra, only this right angle triangle is acceptable.
Thank you.
And here this Ra with the normal non-calligraphic brush. If it is getting filled, the triangle is getting filled naturally, that's okay. You don't have to scribble inside and try to fill the gap here. This is Ra. Triangle is in the third line. Excuse me. Now coming to next, here La. La, again you will find it very similar to its Devanagari equivalent. This is La in Devanagari lipi. Here you won't find much difference. We start from the right of the Shirorekha. We draw this vertical stroke. Then we have these two loops. Similar way. The only point of difference that you will find here is this, the second loop. If you see here, the second loop is touching the base where this vertical stroke is ending in this case. And if you see here, the second loop that I have drawn is I have drawn it here half. So it doesn't come all the way down like this in like we have in Devanagari. This loop is little shorter. It's just here. You have to stop it here. So I'm just drawing a imaginary line here. So this is where you need to stop. So that is the only difference here. The loop, second loop has to be little shorter. You can curl it little inside, but do not extend this. This is exactly in the center, like this. Low. Then were. Again in this were, you won't, there is not much difference. We start the same way. We draw this vertical stroke in between. The only thing is this loop that we draw here, here it is more rounded, and here this is an oblong kind of a shape here. I'm drawing it one more time. Just notice the shape that I'm drawing in the center here. It's not round, but it's not conical also. It's not an angular curve here. It's a soft curve, but you can say kind of an oval shape that I'm drawing, and like this, and I'm not drawing it like round like how we have here in Devanagari. So that you will have to keep in mind while drawing this particular letter. This. This is the shape. So here these two ends, this end and this end, they are wider, and here it becomes a little narrow. If you see this part is little narrower. Here a lower. So this, and then we are left with the last work. Now we have the next one is sure. Sure, sir, sir, her. Again, for the pronunciation, if anyone is facing any difficulty, although it is same what we have in Sanskrit grammar, but still if anyone is not aware of the Sanskrit grammar, then they can see in the reference videos. The pronunciation is also covered in the videos. So this is sh in Devanagari lipi. Straight line, stop in between, a straight right angle triangle here, and another stroke like this. So this is sure. This triangle has to be sharp angle triangle, not rounded, or no soft corners here. So this is sure. Now it is somewhat similar to what we have in case of mo, if you remember, that we did last time. So to show you the difference, how the sh is different from mo. See here. First of all, the shirorekha. Sh has a shirorekha, mo doesn't have. Another thing is this triangle at the left hand side. This is a round here in case of mo, and in case of sh we have this angle triangle. Okay. And then this curve that I'm drawing in the beginning, as told earlier, that we try to show the Unicode in the class, but when you see and read the text, different texts and different manuscripts, this curve usually, it is at some places it is there and some places it's not. So you will mostly find more written like this. Okay, without this curve in the beginning. So the only point of difference is this particular round in the left hand side. So that is very important when you are drawing mo and sh. This is the clear difference. When you are drawing sh, make sure that it's a triangle here and not a round shape. Now the next one is sh. So the Sanskrit knowing students might be knowing the difference between the sh on the top and this. So this is called murdhanya sh. So here we do not touch the tongue while pronouncing this particular sh to the palate. We just say sh. And in this case, the first sh that here we have seen, this touches the tongue touches our palate, the upper palate of the mouth, while pronouncing this particular letter. This is sh. Here in Devanagari, Sharda Lipi doesn't have a Shirorekha, and I hope you are making a note of all the letters with the Shirorekha and without the Shirorekha. We'll be covering that rule in the coming week. So make sure you have already make clear notes in your notebook, letters with the Shirorekha and without the Shirorekha. So this is Shir in Devanagari Lipi. It doesn't have a Shirorekha. This loop, then the straight vertical stroke, and in the middle we have this parallel line. And if you remember that another letter that is similar looking, that is Th. In Th we have the same shape. Exactly, it looks like the Th. The only thing, in case of Th, we have the Shirorekha on the top. So this is the only point of differentiation between Shir and Th. Shir has a Shirorekha, and Th has a Shirorekha and Shir doesn't have. Okay, so this is Shir. This is, I'm showing it within the 3 line. This is not a Shirorekha that I'm drawing on the top. Straight this loop and a line inside, intersecting in between. Now the next one is so. For Sir, in the beginning we start with a very small symbolic horizontal line, very small. Then there is this vertical stroke, and in the middle we stop here and draw a triangle, sharp angled cornered triangle. This is Sir. And on top of this vertical stroke here, the second stroke that we are drawing, we draw very small, again a very symbolic horizontal line on the top. And make sure while drawing this should not extend, and also this in the beginning that I'm drawing, even if this extends a little bit, this one should not extend. Neither from a left hand side or not from the right hand side. It should be very small. This gap has to be there in between. This gap that you're seeing here, let me use a different color to show. This gap has to remain in between. Why? Because this letter again, Sir, it doesn't have a Shirorekha. So if you extend this line further more from left hand side, it will appear to be a Shirorekha on the top of it. So to avoid that, this line on the top is very small. In some of the writings and texts, you won't even find this line, but we usually draw it because it helps us to attach the matra along with it very easily. So when we learn the matras, you will understand that this line will help you to put the matras little, you get a support of this line on the top. Otherwise, this is not a, don't consider this as a Shirorekha. So I'm drawing it again. This line in the beginning, this is also very small. Then the triangle here. And this vertical line again, and then this small indicative line on the top. Okay, so this is Sir. And now if you see here on the top, Shir, we did Shir and it was almost similar to this, right? Almost similar. The only difference now you will see is this Shirorekha. It is completely covered, Shir, and Sir is it is here, there is no Shirorekha on the top. Only a beginning we have this little small horizontal kind of a line here, and on the last this stroke there is a small line on the top. So that is the only difference, this Shirorekha. Rest it looks same. And also, if you see the variations of Sir, you will see Sir written like this as well in some of the manuscripts. This is also Sir. Now, how you differentiate between Sir and Sh is the Shirorekha, and Sir and Ma is this. As I told you, that Ma is also written at some places like this. So only difference is with Sir and Ma, the point of difference is this particular shape, and with Sh and Sir, the different point of difference is this Shirorekha. Okay, so I'm erasing all of this to avoid the confusion. This is with a normal calligraphic, non-calligraphic brush. So now this letter is the last from Vyanjan. Then after this we'll be moving to the Sanyukta Akshar. This is her. Shirorekha, and from the left of the Shirorekha we draw this line here, then another slant line like this, and attaching this slant line we draw this loop which has to be a little wider. Okay, try not to make it this loop very narrow. What I mean is, I'll just show. So when you're drawing this particular loop, try not to make it like this. There is a reason why I'm asking you to keep it a little wider, because when we learn the Sanyukta Akshar or the conjuncts and matras, we will need a space, some space here to write another letters or matras or anything. So just avoid using this narrow loop. Make this loop a little wider so that you have enough space here. This basically, we need this space empty. You can curl it a little bit here, that's all right, but make sure that you have enough gap here. This is how. So with this we have completed the conjuncts. You will also see variations of her, although I'm trying to avoid all the variations so that you don't get confused. Her is also, you will also see her written like this. Just showing you the variation. There are no angles and no curves here, just a straight loop and then another loop like this. But this is a variation, let's not get into that right now. Okay, so if there are no questions, then I'll move to the Sanyukta Akshar. I think these two were little simpler to understand. They didn't have many, not very different from the Devanagari letters. We'll take the revision at the end if you have any questions. So now let's see the Sanyukta Akshar or the conjuncts. By Sanyukta Akshar, I mean we know the three Sanyukta Akshar that we have in Sanskrit also. That is Ksha, Tra, and Gya. Right? These three Sanyukta Akshar you all must be familiar about. So now when I say Sanyukta Akshar, I mean that they are a combination of more than one letter, more than one consonant. Let us first understand. I'm sure the Sanskrit knowing students must be knowing the grammar and all the logics and behind it. But I'm just for everyone's understanding, I'm just explaining it one more time. All the swar that we have from to ah, those are independent of anything. They are just complete in themselves. For example, when we talk about so is independent of anything else. It is complete in itself. The sound is right? So when we talk about the consonants, the vyanjan, when we talk about, just say we talk about ka. So akshar ka, the consonant ka, is dependent on the swar to make it complete. When we say ka, we are saying ka and a. So when we do this, so this basically is the sound of ka, which is incomplete without the sound of swar, that is with it. So this makes complete ka. So this halant at the end that I'm drawing, this halant means the sound is half. That means this, you must be knowing half letters. This is how we write half ka in Devanagari lipi, right? So this half ka means that this sound is missing from the letter. So when this sound is missing from the letter, we write it like this and we pronounce it as ka and not ka. So is that clear? What is half letter and why all the sounds are dependent on the swar for the completion, for their completion? This is just an example with ka. Any other letter if you choose, for example, you take cha. So this is cha only when we have the sound of cha, halant in the end, because this is half. This is incomplete until and unless I write along with it. So this half and along with this makes cha. And if I remove this part from here, this if I remove from here, the only sound we are left with is cha, and we denote it like this in Devanagari lipi. This half cha means cha and not cha. So this is the concept of half letters. Many of you must be knowing. So when we are dealing with these Sanyukta Akshar, that is where these half sounds are taken into consideration. So I'm going to rub all of this and then I'll just write it again. So let us take the first one, the first akshar, that is ksha. This is how we write this in Devanagari lipi. Ksha. Now, as the pronunciation itself is very much clear, it is the combination of two letters, two consonants, that is The sound is half. And the other letter is sh. Okay, the sound of k is half, sh, and sh is complete here. Okay, so this the two combination of k and sh together makes sh. And now when we write this in Sharda lipi, Shirorekha, from the center of the Shirorekha, we draw a long, comparatively a little longer vertical line, because we're going to fit two akshar here in this line. So first is ka. This this particular shape that I have written is ka. I'll explain why the ka is written like this. Then the next letter is sh. So now this sh, as I have explained above here, how it is the combination of ka and sh, I'm showing it here as well in Devanagari in Sharda lipi. This is ka. Now this halant that you saw here on the top, in case of Devanagari we have this halant here, which means ka is half without the support of a. And in case of Devanagari, this we will talk about this in detail when we do the matras. The halant is denoted like this. This is the halant in Sharda lipi. What I have drawn here, this vertical line here, this is the halant. Halant means this. So the sound of ka is half, and then we have sh. Right? So ka and sh together will make sh. Now, as I explained earlier, that when we have half sounds in Devanagari lipi, for example, we have half sound of ka, we denote it like this, right? If we have half sound of ch, we denote it like this. This is how we write it. But what we have in Sharda lipi, we do not write half letters. We do not write ka. For example, ch in Sharda lipi is written like this, right? And if we have a half sound of ch, we will not write it like this or like this. We will not write the half letters. In Sharda grammar, we do not write half letters. Instead, what we do is, if we have a half letter here and the letter next to it, for example, let's look at ch and g. So this is how you will write it in Devanagari lipi, correct? Ch and g. And when it comes to Sharda lipi, ch would be written complete, and the letter following the half letter, that means g, will come under, below this. So there is no concept of writing half letter in Sharda lipi. The pronunciation remains the same. This full ch on the top, it means that the sound of ch is half here. Why? Because g has come down. When you see any letter written under something, you should understand that the letter on the top is half. We only do not denote it as half letter in Sharda lipi. So this also we will talk about this in detail. This is just to make you understand why we have written ksha like this. Because the sound of ka is half, and ka would be written complete, and sh would come below like this. And why is ka written like this? Why is not ka written like this? Now that also would be a question, correct? So that is because ka, being a special letter, it is always written, it always takes this shape when it is written as a conjunct. As a conjunct means, when I say conjunct, I mean the sanyukta akshar, the combination of more than one letter, that is sanyukta akshar. It is always written like this when it is written along with the sanyukta akshar.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Uh, the rule that you said that the first letter, which is the first letter, comes always on the top,
Yes,
and the letter which follows it always comes at the bottom. Am I right?
right, right.
And this applies for everything.
This applies for all the half letter rules, all the half letters and conjuncts.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now we will deal with there are classification, as I told you earlier, the letters with the matra, the letters the letters with the shirorekha, the letter without the shirorekha. So they will have some different rules, but the basic rule is this, what I explained. The half letter would always be written on the top, and the letter following it would be written at the bottom. So that is the same case what we see here in this case, kshar. Now the only confusion that might arise here is, why is ka written like this? So for that the answer is, ka when written with a conjunct is always written like this. It will never be written like this. If it has something below, for example, it has let's take example of cha again. So if we have to write cha along with it, we will not write ka like this. If we have cha below, the shape would again always be like this, and then you attach cha here below. Okay, here. So this again we are going to learn this in detail when we do the special rules. For now we will just see how to write the these three special sanyukta akshar. So this was kshar. Now the next one we have is,
Ma'am, before you proceed, can you just show how to write this on a three-line?
yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I forgot to show you that. So since this letter, if you see, it's a little bigger, so this line might extend the three line this curve should be little up, and then the second, before the second line, this curve should be drawn, and this line that you see in the middle, it might go beyond the third line. Since we are drawing a little longer line here, so it might go beyond.
Ma'am, please draw it once again with a pen.
The normal pen, I'll draw it. So this is without the calligraphic brush. So we will not start from the half, we'll go a little up here. And when you are drawing this particular shape on the right hand side, make sure to keep it little wider here, like this. Excuse me. Then we have shur here. Now the only one more thing that you need to keep in mind is this particular shape that we have drawn here, it should not be of the same length here as this, as the vertical stroke. It should be a little shorter. So as you see here, it should end where the shur starts. This loop should end there. Here also, if you see, this loop is ending where the shur is starting. So keep this particular loop a little shorter than the middle line, than this vertical stroke.
Ma'am, just one small query.
Here.
The left side of the ka and the sha will be same, right? Will begin at the same point. From the left. Yeah. These two.
They'll begin at the same point. Yes, from the same vertical stroke we have taken
No,
curve
no.
also.
I'm
And
talking about the left side. Left side. Where to start from the left side. Yeah. Both of them should begin from the same point.
you mean here?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so they are falling in the same line. See, like this. This is not going away from this, so they are within the frame. Okay, let's do tra now. So tra is the halant. That means the sound of the is half. And then ra. Tra. Ra is complete. The sound of ra is coming. The ra is complete sound here. Ra. Tra. Only ta sound is half. So this is tra. And first I'll show only how to write it, then I'll explain it in Sharada lipi also. So the basic shape of ta will remain same here. This is the Shirorekha. And then how we draw ta, that basic shape will remain same. This is ta. Okay. Now the ra, that sound of ra that we have to attach here. So that this line, this slant that I have drawn at the bottom is ra. The matra ra in Sharada lipi is written like this. This is the matra of ra. So this is tra. And here I'm going to write it in Sharada lipi here. The sandhi viched. So this is ta. This is the halant. That means the sound of ta is half. And then complete ra. And this makes together, it makes tra. Ta and ra. Ra at the bottom. So again, if you see ta is half, it is written complete on the top, and ra, the following letter, this comes like this. This is the matra that we are attaching to ta here, and it becomes tra.
Ma'am, when you write halant in Sharda, does the line cross Shirorekha?
Yes, it comes above the Shirorekha, a little bit above. And then at the bottom also, if you see, there is a slant here attaching to this. So we will next week we'll be doing matras, which has halant also, how to write halant also. That also will come in those. And now in case of the tra, this ra, the matra ra that is attached at the bottom, will go beyond the third line. It will not stay within the 3 lines. So this is outside. For now I'm erasing it because I'll just write the last letter and then we'll do the revision of all. Then last one we have is gear. Now gear, so there's a slight difference here in the sandhi viched that I'm going to do here. I'm going to first write how to write gear in Sharada lipi, then I'll explain the sandhi viched of it. So gear in Sharada lipi is a combination of ja and ण. So this letter that I have written is gear, and it is a combination of, this is ja This is the halant that I'm drawing with it. And no. So this is j and together makes gear. Right, so what we have drawn at the bottom here is nothing but n. Now the only thing here is when we are writing this n as a conjunct, when we are writing it as gear, the first loop that you see here, this one, it merges with this particular line, and we do not have to draw that. We do not have to draw this line here because it gets merged, and this is how we write it. So I'm going to write this gear letter again here. First you draw the regular j, right, with these two small lines on the top touching the shirorekha. Now we have to attach this r to it. So we will merge the first loop and the second loop, and we get rid of this particular loop that this starting loop, we get rid of this and we merge it directly like this. So this is gear. Now here if you saw this is a combination of j and r. Now I'm sure here there are a lot of Sanskrit knowing students also. They must be wondering, because in Sanskrit grammar if you see, this gear is a combination of this nya so this makes gear. This particular, the last letter from the second varg, cha varg.
Sorry, ma'am. As per my information, it is ja and nya which get mixed in Sanskrit to create this nya.
Is it ja plus nya or ja or nya or ra? I'm not sure about the.
No, j and nya.
So
Instead of na, it is j and nya.
Achha, it is ja.
And that's why pronunciation sometimes varies. So in probably southern India and Sanskrit especially, it is not read as gya, it is read as nya.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's ja and nya. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Ja is half and nya is full.
Nya is full, correct.
Nya is full and ja is half. So this is half here. Okay, so it should be here basically. Ja should be here in the beginning.
Yeah. And nya should be at where we place na, there we have nya.
And ja is half. So this is how we do it in Sanskrit. We I think in Sanskrit we do not call it gya. It's nya, right?
Yes. So basically, region-wise, sometimes some pronunciation changes. So they would read it as nya, whereas we read it as gya. Both are considered correct, considering that it's been in usage for a very long time, and most of the Hindi or Devanagari probably words are being read with gya.
Correct. Yeah. So that is the only difference here. So rest all the conjuncts have the same sandhi vichhed. Only in this case, this is the combination of ja and nya, and not ja and na, what we have in Sharada lipi. So with this we completed the Sanyukta Akshar also. So we will do the revision of all the letters that we learned today. So I'm only writing the Sharda Akshar, ya, ra, la, and va. The next one was sh. Sh. S. And the last one, her. And then the Sanyukta Akshar, the first one, Ksha, Tra, the last one, Gyo. So you can directly join this R at the end here, or you can first write, for the ease of writing, you can just write J first and then draw this R at the end. The only thing here that you have to keep in mind while drawing this particular letter is this R. It should be here in the straight line and it should not go like this, because many a times we have seen students writing it like this. So this is, avoid it writing like this. It should come in the straight line like this.
Ma'am, I have a small question. Are there any Sanshodak varns in Sharda?
I'm not aware of that. Sanshodhan one.
Like Visarga, Anushwar.
Yes, we have Anuswaras and Visarga. That we have already explained that Anuswaras that we did along with the Varnamala itself.
Okay, so they are not separate, right?
No, they are not separate. They are along in the Varnamala itself.
Okay.
Basically, all the rules of Anuswar or Visarg, everything will remain the same, because this is just a script. So, if you see the Devanagari or Sanskrit, when you're writing it, the Visarga or Anuswara remains the same. Usage in Sharda also would remain the same. It is just the way of writing letters is different. Otherwise, rules of writing and reading remains the same, except the formation of letters.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anything else?
Sorry, you asking me, Veronica ji?
No, I was asking if anyone has any more questions.
Okay.
So I think then we can close for today, and we'll do the matras and other special rules in the next week.